Johnny J was golfing.
Yep.
Assassin shows up.
Did he finish his game?
Be pretty gangster if he did.
He's like, you know what? I still got a par 4.
Another gunman tried to kill me on my own turf. I'm gonna finish out these 18 holes.
I heard that this was monumental internet moments that we got to witness.
Hey, I always was really curious how the internet would treat me if I got really fat. Oh, it was the greatest social experiment ever? Yeah, shut the fuck, shut up. Gentlemen, welcome back to the ARMO podcast, the podcast that is on managerial outcomes but falls under the administrative results jurisdiction, yet they are at war with each other in the civil corporate faction space, a war that rages on and sometimes stagnates in the trenches of Azerbaijan. Today I have my reporter Lou Sassel, my diversity hire of sorts. Vintage Warfare Austin is off on a side quest, and we will hope to have him back because he is now the unofficial quasi podcast co-host. He doesn't know it yet, but that's what I have labeled him. And in a way, so is Mr. Lou Sassel right here. We have a number of different topics to go over today. Q&A, Trump assassination, Nikocado Avocado. 2 steps ahead. I am always 2 steps ahead. More power to you, man. And then, of course, I do want to mention Paul Harrell. So by the time this video comes out, it may be another week. But Paul Harrell, of course, has since passed away. And I feel like I've dropped the ball personally on my end, which is a big, mess up. But I haven't mentioned anything on the main channel. But if you don't know, Paul had cancer, and the cancer took his life, and we are diminished. And the channel will still go on, and his legacy will still go on, so I'd encourage you to go watch his channel, and I was pretty heartbroken to hear of the passing. And I just wanted to mention that real quick, and of course not get too sappy, because Paul would probably haze you for something like that. That being said, yet again, I would encourage you, if you haven't already, go maybe subscribe, stay up to date with what the channel is going to be doing, because that channel always puts out good info. Now, we do have a Q&A to get to, but I figured that's probably going to drag out for a bit answering those questions, so I say we briefly cover the other 2, Trump assassination, round 2, episode 2.
Episode 2, yeah.
The Trump wars continue.
When you asked me to be back on the podcast, I was thinking, oh man, surely, we've gotten through all the big topical news things. Like nothing's happened since, right? Not like another assassination.
Surely the assassins will have learned.
Surely. Hold on, before we go further, I got to readjust. I remember last time I was on, or maybe the first time, you had your EDC on the table. I just wanted to get mine on the table.
Oh, yo!
Sorry. That's how our forefathers would have wanted it.
I didn't even know you smuggled that in. You really played the bit well.
Well, yeah, it feels a lot better on the back.
Can I? Is it loaded? Can I shoot it?
No, it's not loaded. I don't even think it's probably got like 10 spiders down the barrel right now, dude. It's like
you don't have a nipple for the percussion cap.
It's like I said, it's more of a prop than anything at this point.
Hey, you mind if I desk pop this?
Just blow a hole through the ceiling. Boom. Like butter,
there's no nipples, so it's not gonna do anything.
I just wanted to appeal a little bit more. Yeah, see if you could really look down in there. Yeah, you got your finger on the trigger too. Perfect.
Have you checked? Have you checked if it's loaded?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I checked. Definitely.
I'm totally derailed. What were you saying?
I'm here. I'm just, I'm trying to fulfill what the people would say that our forefathers wanted as an everyday carry. You know what I mean?
Well,
like that's what they would have wanted right there.
This is actually going to be more accurate than, say, like a smoothbore flintlock pistol.
Who wants a Draco when you've got that? You know what I mean?
This will blow a massive hole in someone's chest. Only downside is you have one shot.
Yeah.
This is a fantastic piece, my
It is my everyday carry, so.
Sorry, let me whip mine out.
Yeah, you go ahead if you want to get readjusted.
I just got a HK USPC.
Okay, well, not as fancy as.
No, it's not. Here. Definitely not as cool.
Great. Well, let's talk about what happened, less than 24 hours ago at this point?
I believe so.
So what do we know so far?
I think Donnie J was golfing. Yep. Assassin shows up. Did he get taken alive? Because I think I saw him getting arrested.
From my understanding was he drove away, and they had a witness who got the plates. And so as soon as he drove away, they had every enforcer in the area on it, pretty much trying to look for this guy, and they found him pretty quickly.
Jeez, dude.
I could be wrong. I don't know 100% certain. There's a lot of like blurry details at this point. What did you think of the response this time compared to last time? How they handled it?
Well, this time it's not as like close of a call. so maybe they're not going to be as hyped about it. But it's still like a really big deal that this has happened not once but twice now.
Yeah,
which is pretty crazy. Which is pretty bonkers.
And he was using an AK, right, this time?
It was some sort of weird SKS like bubbled gun.
Okay.
Which I don't know why these guys coming out of the woodwork have such terrible guns.
I think I know why.
If it was right-wing extremists, it would all be like from a mile away. But if it's like these crazy unhinged lefto weirdos, then it's like always going to be the goofiest little setups.
With like anime stickers on it and stuff. Hey, no hate towards anime. I'm just saying.
Yeah, you're going to make the anime guys mad, dude.
Wow. I mean, it's crazy that, when it happened, I heard it and I was like, oh, wow. And then it was just kind of like, oh.
That's not a good sign.
I was thinking about it. I was like, pretty soon I'm just going to be making dinner and be like, hey, honey, there's another attempt. And it's just like,
it's getting played out. Yeah. It's getting played out.
Do you think it helped his numbers at all?
I don't know. This one doesn't seem as big of a deal. So it's a weird, like, everyone's like, oh, again?
Yeah. What if they clipped his other ear?
Yeah, that'd be wild.
Do you think
it's a very bad precedent for the Republic?
What conspiracies have come out already about this?
Usual. Well, not that I know, but I would bet my bottom dollar the usual conspiracies, like an MK Ultra mind control thing. That's usually a big one, or like some sort of government agency groomed kind of thing. The last one was weird because I think the dude had like offshore accounts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, more and more details came out after the fact, right? Yeah, so if you're feeling frustrated in the comments, it's because this has been less than 24 hours, so we don't have all the details that you'll have by this point.
Right. So, I run a very loose and fast podcast, too. The facts may not always be correct,
all we
grain
know
of salt.
There was a second attempt. There was some AK-looking-ish gun that was used. They caught him after the fact, I think, because he got away for a second. Crazy, honestly crazy that there was a hole in like the fencing, which is just ficus plants, around the golf course. And from what I understood, the Secret Service is always one hole
step ahead.
Not two,
just
one hole ahead.
ahead.
One hole ahead. They were like,
they
didn't. I would have thought they would have had a perimeter going. People walking, and it's just man.
With the amount of stuff happening to Trump, it would really behoove the Secret Service to step up that security detail for that dude, man, because what I could see being a thing is just the lack of manpower. Because I think how it works, the Secret Service is supposed to protect former presidents, but, I mean, when you're not the guy with the launch codes anymore, I think your protection detail probably gets cut down a smidge.
Yeah.
So it's definitely an issue of manpower.
Yeah, but at least have like a vehicle driving around the perimeter of the
person.
I mean,
that would definitely be something. Report some suspicious activity. Hey, there's something going on over there. We're not sure. We're getting weird murmurs. X, Y, and
granted,
Z.
Somebody could slip in. I understood he had like a backpack and some GoPros, right? Was that?
I didn't know about that.
You didn't know about that? Yeah.
I could see definitely some sort of concealment layer being a common trend.
Yeah.
I just did a video on bag guns, funny enough, but because that's kind of what the first guy did, because they were like, how did he get a rifle up there? And I was like, pretty easy. Just break it down and put it in a bag, and you can walk around very easily.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, it's. I'm sure we'll learn more, but it's pretty concerning too that it's like, wow, second attempt, and then also the lack of just, I think initial like shock. Everybody's just kind of rolling with it, like, oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the everyday man has his concerns and his worries and a mortgage to pay. It kind of gets taxing to always be like, what?
Do you think this is a trend that we'll continue to see into like further elections? And
dude, I hope not. It's a really bad precedent for a republic to have violence done upon people running for office. It's really, really bad.
Yeah,
like that's a behavior that has to stop. I'm like a parent. Hey, you guys better stop that.
Hey, stop it.
You guys better knock it off.
The guy's clearly unhinged. They have like lots of videos of him doing threats and whatnot. Like, hey, stop it.
Hey, knock it off.
Don't do that.
I know you want to do violence, but you shouldn't.
Yeah, it's I can't imagine being you disagree so deeply with somebody that you're like, I'm gonna go to his golf course and ruin his golf game. Did he finish his game?
It'd be pretty gangster if he did.
It'd be as good as raising the fist. He's like, you know what? I still got a par 4. I still got a.
Another gunman tried to kill me on my own turf, my golf turf.
Yeah.
What a loser. I'm not going to lose. I'm going to finish out these 18 holes.
What? Oh, yeah. I mean, that would be the move, I think, would just be to finish it out. They wouldn't let you at that point.
They tried to stop me once. They're not going to stop me again.
You got it out of your system?
I got it out, yes.
Okay, cool. Well, that's all we know so far.
Pretty
I'm
much,
sure we'll learn more. And let's hope we never talk about it again. If I come back on the podcast and there's another round of this, I'm going to be very.
I should just bring you back whenever there's an attempted Trump assassination.
Yeah,
that's the one time you're ever allowed back.
I might not never come back, and that's fine with me.
That would
I'd be perfectly fine.
That'd
with
be
me.
for the best.
Yeah. What else do you want to talk about? What else was on the docket? Do you feel like you talked about Trump enough in that?
Well, it's such a wild thing because so far. And I would hope it would remain the same because, yet again, very bad precedent. But no one on the right side of the unhinged spectrum has gone for the left's elected official. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Which it's just not. It does not look good for them if that's their form of protest or if that's their form of political action. If you're on the left and you're thinking, yeah, you know what, things got to change. I'm gonna go murder. It's like, ooh, dude.
Yeah.
That's not the motif of good or what is in a wholesome light. You know what I mean? To try and get your political opinion out there by force.
Yeah.
It's literally an act of evil. So
yeah, and I know. I mean, look, there's probably conspiracies and undertones and all that, but on paper, if you've had 2 assassination attempts from one side of the political aisle, and you just look at it on paper and you're like, isn't this the side that wants to ban assault rifles?
Yeah,
you know,
it's kind of weird.
You're like, oh, interesting.
They're supposed to be like their message is like with a tolerance and peace and love. You know, Yet again, they're trying to enforce this with massive acts of violence. Yeah, very, very counterintuitive. Very counterintuitive. And of course, I would apply the same evil logic to someone that, if it was from the right side of the spectrum, that was like, I'm going to go end a politician's life with force. I'd say that's evil.
Which I'm sure there's cases. And
right. Yeah. There's boomers that under their real name on Facebook are like, I'm going to snipe them, and then they get raided by the FBI.
Yeah. And there's always the argument that the first attempt, that guy was a registered Republican when he was like 18 or something like that.
Yeah. So.
Regardless, it's shocking and it's sad, and we need to stop. We're putting it down right here on this podcast.
Loose Assel world.
You need to stop right now.
Your acts of violence are no more. ISIS, you're done.
Gentlemen, this podcast is made possible thanks to sponsors such as Americana Pipe Dream Apparel, fantastic young Zoomers getting after the Milsurp space and arena. They have all a litany of items to take your LARP to the next level, so you can go hard in your mother's basement, anywhere from night vision, knives, manuals, canteens, MREs, and of course, clothing. At times, they often get in very elusive, exclusive clothing, and I would be up to date on what their website has to offer because it will probably sell out like hotcakes when you are chasing down that elusive item you ever so wanted dearly. I appreciate them for being not only a sponsor here, but on the main channel as well. So I'd encourage you to go check out Americana Pipe Dream Apparel and see what they got going on. On a more lighthearted note, let's get to the fat man in the room.
Or the former fat man in the room, right?
Oh, let me
okay, sorry.
Nikocado Avocado, the mukbang emperor, has been reduced in poundage over a span of what, 2 years?
2 years, 2 steps ahead.
2 steps ahead. Over a span of 2 years, Nick quietly drip-fed his audience content that he banked up while at the same time losing a massive amount of weight. This was a very impressive internet 4D chess move, and everyone was stunned to see his weight loss transformation, probably for the better. I got to say, it was definitely a very interesting timing because there was that Sunny V2 video.
Like 2 days prior?
2 days prior, talking about...
Sorry, 2 days prior?
2 days, yeah. Talking about his... sustainability. What was it like? How
he had released a video that was I think at the time I couldn't find it. It was like his most recent video, and it was very much him having like a kind of like a breakdown and being like, I hate my life, I hate how I look, I hate what I've done.
Yeah.
And so it almost kind of felt like a perfect bait, right? Because you knew people would grab that, it would make him relevant for a second, and then he could drop the big reveal. And if you're confused on who Nikocado Avocado is or what mukbang is, good for you. Yeah, good for you. You stayed off the internet.
This is like internet culture lore that we're swimming in right now.
I heard that this was one of those kind of like monumental internet moments that we got to witness.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny that we look at it like this is a bookmark. This is a checkpoint on the internet.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's in the stage of the internet play. Yeah. It was a dastardly event, I would say.
But it is still it's incredibly impressive to have drip-fed content. I try to think about how he did it, because if you look at his other social medias, he would talk about, hey, people in the comments are saying this. So he would have to have said that 2 years ago. What maybe people were saying at the time, or he was anticipating people saying a certain thing or writing a certain narrative.
Yeah.
And that's really impressive to think that far out and have that 2 steps ahead mentality.
Yeah.
All the while you're just losing weight. Do we know how he lost the weight yet? Was it Ozempic? He just did a ton of, he just OD'd on Ozempic.
I would guess it'd be a OD on Ozempic or something, mixed with a lot of working out. No idea. He did the work though.
Because somebody brought up the fact that it's, while he was losing weight, he could have been recognized, right? Mm-hmm. So he would have, maybe he went monk mode and went to a third world country and just shed weight.
Yeah, I could see that. Maybe some sort of private area to go work. And
my understanding was he had lived international at some point somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And so the theory is that maybe he went back and just worked out, sweated for 2 years in just a jungle gym. That'd be crazy.
I could see that. Probably definitely get a good sweat on in the jungles.
Yeah, again, just looking at it from what it is, losing over 200 pounds is incredibly impressive.
And then the showmanship.
Yeah.
The long con of waiting 2 years, because it's going to start in 2022 if that's the case.
I feel like I'd lose 5 pounds and I'd be itching to take my shirt off. You know what I mean? I'd be like, let me lose the shirt right away.
Well, that dude had
I see an ab.
That dude had a long journey ahead of him. I will say, the drip feeding of content is very, very impressive. If you never tried to bank content like that, sit on
Insane.
it. Yeah.
Insane.
And just, okay, we're going to see how long I can do this for. Because I would assume at the very least, it's your workload would be 24 videos if you go off for the one a month.
Was he doing more than that, though?
I don't know.
Plus, you have to think short form content, plus, any photos, social media posts.
Yeah, the typical format is
crazy.
once a week. So if you have to go off that, that's 52 videos times 2.
So you'd have to pretty much be eating every day for 2 months straight.
Yeah.
For 1 year.
So
multiply that.
Yeah.
I don't think he did. I don't know how often he did videos because I wasn't subscribed.
No, the
mukbang's not really
the fat kid doing mukbangs isn't my go-to form of content, but I do appreciate the showmanship of waiting 2 years for the long con. That's what I do. I'm I respect that.
What did you think of his actual reveal and the tone and the panda head? I'll never get that image out of my head now. Red shirt, panda head. I just
the dude's already got a little bit of a weird mind space, so it's kind of fitting. He gets it. He has the whole thing down pat, I would say. He's definitely a pro YouTuber. I would hope that he sticks to it and his new arc is becoming a stud.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think my favorite edit I saw was somebody making his video and putting it over the Joker soundtrack for when the Joker's on TV in the original Batman series. Yeah. It's just him talking and then observing through the TV. I was like, this is kind of accurate. You know what I mean?
Didn't.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Oh, so sorry.
2 steps ahead. Yeah,
give me the fat man.
Yeah. Well, my favorite part is he does the reveal, and you can see. I think you can see a little bit of loose skin, so it's not a pre-recorded. It's very much. It's real, and so you think, wow, he just lost all that weight. He's probably never going back, right? Mm. And then he immediately transitions into so here's all this food, guys, and he's I did this yesterday actually, but the footage didn't work, so I'm doing it again. It's oh no, here we go again. Crazy
roller coaster.
I think that's the part nobody's really highlighting. That's the most impressive, is to jump right back in.
I wouldn't.
To restart it, to roll the dice again. What do you think of his idea of it being a big social experiment? What do you think he meant by that? He's the greatest social experiment, is what he said.
That's not the greatest. It's that's overhyping it, I would say.
What's the experiment?
That's what I'm saying. What is it? Just seeing, because it's there's no. What would be the parameters of his experiment? I would say
becoming fat, seeing how the internet hates you.
I could see that.
Documenting you pretty much destroying your health and your body and seeing how the internet turns on you.
I would call that propaganda.
Yeah.
To try and spin something you've done that you let get out of control. I would call it that. Hey, I always was really curious how the internet would treat me if I got really fat and slob, like a massive slob, eating calories and becoming rich off of it. I was curious. Oh, it was the greatest social experiment ever? Yeah, shut up, dude.
Yeah, it's
that's not a thing. It's a cool arc.
It's a pretty cool arc. I mean, you got to give it a title. You got to give it give it a name or something. You can't just say. I think it'd be worse if you just came out and was like, "Yeah, I lost 200 pounds." Yeah. Maybe not. Maybe
there's got to be a little bit of showmanship.
Yeah, maybe people would be like, "Oh, that's cool," but I think trying to frame it in a way that's like, "What's the deeper meaning here?" It's pretty cool. I think it's cool.
If you lost 200 pounds, I would say you deserved a little bit of showbiz action.
Maybe we're still in the experiment.
Oh.
Maybe he's already 2 years ahead of this. He's already regained it all back.
He's all trend out. He comes
like,
back,
wait a minute.
He's all jacked.
Yeah, it's just constantly. I mean, this podcast is 2 years in the past. People don't know that.
They don't realize that.
Yeah, they don't realize that.
I'm always.
How are we predicting these things?
Steps ahead.
Yeah, actually, it's like usually 2 weeks late.
Yeah.
Not 2 steps ahead.
Thanks, Zeke. Yeah.
He's just chowing, thumbs up.
He just comes in and shuts the feed off.
He's like, we want to make it 3 weeks? We'll make it 3 weeks late. Yeah, it's impressive. I think, well, the only other thing I could think of that we've seen similar to this in that sphere is Mr. Beast, right? Do you remember when he pre-recorded that video that was like, "Dear Mr. Future Beast"?
Yeah.
And then it just dropped one day and it was like him at 16. He's like, "I hope I have 1 million subs."
Yeah.
And he's like,
that's pretty fun.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I wonder how many people tried that after the fact, and then their 2 years was coming up, and they just kind of were like quietly like just hid the video.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's a bunch out there. I can't wait to see a bunch of like videos come out maybe a year or two from now, where it's like a bunch of 13-year-old boys that like hopped up on Andrew Tate and they're like, "By now I should have a jet and $3 million
and a harem of concubines,
and I live in Dubai." And it's like they're in college and they're like realizing this video dropped, and they're like, "Oh no!" Starting their summer internship. They just nailed their first accounting gig, and they're like, "Oh no, what have I done?" In a lot of ways, I'm thankful that the internet wasn't around to that degree when I was that age. But
yeah, I mean, because you're pretty old now, aren't you?
I'm pretty old, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all a social experiment, actually, to just have a very average life in my 20s and 30s, so that when I'm 40 and I have a private jet, I'm always 2 steps ahead.
You tasted what the everyday.
People are like, why'd you have such an ordinary life if you plan on becoming a millionaire? It's like, because it's a social experiment. I wanted to see how like people treated me once I became rich.
It sounds so.
So
what's
funny.
the word, dude? I'm going full artard mode.
What is it, like a forehead move?
Big brain
move? Yeah, I mean, you could frame it.
Pretentious. It sounds rather pretentious.
Yeah, the high school kid who got bullied, and he's like, "No, it was my goal to be bullied all
It was a
along."
social experiment because I could handle it.
It's like, all right, dude.
Oh, it has the same frame where it's like, girls don't like me because they don't understand me.
Girls don't like me because I'm smart.
You're like, ugh.
They choose the dumb jock instead.
I don't like Western women, actually. I prefer a traditional Eastern woman. It's like, oh no.
All right, Haas.
Yeah.
Good
Saw a lot of
you.
those guys in Japan. It was do what you got to do.
Yeah,
do what you got to do.
They're gonna be like, the Japanese women are gonna love me.
Yeah, man,
no, they're gonna keep you away from the school zone there too.
It's crazy that you can just have one advantage, and that's just being from America and just going to another country and being like, hey,
yeah,
here I am.
The beacon of Western civilization. Hey, you want to see a bunch of billboards on a highway?
Oh.
You want to come to America and see a bunch of billboards and Mickey D's on a strip of highway?
I think it's so funny when people are like, America has no culture. And it's like, have you driven through Arizona by John? Have you seen the desert and the Long John Silver's at the gas station? That's pretty.
Have you ever walked into a firearms establishment and ripped from a belt of full auto?
That's pretty good. Yeah. Have you ever walked the Las Vegas Strip and seen the debauchery and realized this is our culture?
Yeah.
This is good.
It's backed by the USS Fitzgerald, a nuclear-class aircraft carrier.
Yeah, I wonder. I don't know what cultural.
I just made that boat name up, by the way. Sorry.
Yeah, and also I realize we're going down a rabbit hole here, but I'm curious what culture we contribute to the world besides movies and music. Hey, we gave you all Taylor Swift. You better be.
We are the gold standard of entertainment. It's rare that other countries produce the level of movies, I would say, that we do. Usually it's like the French having some sort of weird kino, like...
hold on. You're forgetting about Bollywood. Okay. Some real interesting videos coming out of Bollywood. You ever watched a Bollywood film?
Do not speak of the Bollywood to me.
You ever watched a Bollywood film for real?
No.
Oh man, I told you when I lived up in Seattle how we would go to the theater and it would be, you couldn't find a parking spot. It'd be packed and it'd be like the new Avengers would be coming out.
Yeah.
Okay, this is near Redmond where Microsoft is. And I'm like, oh man, there's no way we're gonna get a seat. And we would enter the theater, lines everywhere. It's crazy. And we get in our theater and it's empty. Because they would do Bollywood releases at that theater. And so it was just
it's going buck wild.
It was an experiment. Yeah, our experience. Have you seen the videos where they're losing it in the audience and just throwing popcorn and stuff? I wish I had. I want to go back. I'll do it. I'll go to a Bollywood release with them.
You're the only dude in there.
I want to experience it. I want to see how they, I want to be part of the crowd just yelling. Yeah. I have no idea what's happening. I don't care. I don't care. I'm throwing popcorn. I'm shouting. I hope it's like that. That's probably a very gross misunderstanding, but I want to be a part of that.
It's okay, dude.
It's a vibe.
We're not too
it's a good
PC
vibe.
with the Indian crowd.
Yeah.
Thank you, sirs.
I mean, they were they nailed it. Yeah, that was a good time. It was a good time, Redmond, with them.
Definitely a whole different culture, man. A whole different thought process.
Yeah, and the best part is the Bollywood films kind of highlight like the best of what they have. I mean, in a lot of ways, I think our films do the same. You don't get many films that are like, check out this part of Missouri that's really depressing and full of drugs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Ozarks. That's the Ozarks.
Yeah. You get. I mean, Breaking Bad was pretty much like a 1-to-1 depiction of Albuquerque. Sorry if you're from Albuquerque.
That's
how we all view you.
Venezia's is in that show.
Yeah,
that's just crazy because I grew up eating there all the time, and then they were like all of a sudden
in Albuquerque.
Yeah, Venetia's is like, I think probably they have a location
in
Mexico.
Okay. Oh, right.
But no, the Venetia's out here in Arizona, dude.
Oh, right, yeah.
It's like so I think they make probably one of the best slices of pizza in the valley.
Yeah. It's funny how that show kind of nailed it because you would think, oh, this is not that bad. And then I drove through Albuquerque and I was like,
yeesh. That's one thing I think about, dude, is like when you travel, just like how much life is being done not in your immediate vicinity. And it sounds kind of dumb, but it's like people's like where they choose to settle down. I'm like, really, here? This is where you wanted to settle down?
Well, in Arizona, there's a ton of that. There's like a ton of these tiny, dead, ghost mining towns, And we've talked about that because we've driven out to events and then we go through these like, there's probably no more than 20 people and they maybe have a gas station and you're thinking in your head, you're like, what drives a person to choose here and live here?
Yeah.
I get wanting to be remote, have your own land, be Grand Thumb, sure, but that is like a different, when you're 2 hours away from anything.
Yeah, it's a whole other level.
Yeah.
If you're an hour away, I feel like that's not even that bad.
Yeah, I think we reduced it to like, you probably are wanted somewhere for something. And so you're just, this is your hideout hole at this point.
Might as well, dude.
But no, I do think about it. I think about when you look at the grand scale of the United States and all the towns and all the places that are all, you're like, wow. Yeah, there's a lot of places that, I mean, we know about all the major ones, but there's just a lot of life happening in like, especially in the Midwest, all those smaller towns in Kentucky and Indiana and Ohio and all that.
Pockets. Think of Scott. Scott's like 2 hours away from a big airport.
Where?
Kentucky.
Oh, Scott, Kentucky? Oh, that's right, because you have family in Kentucky, right?
I don't, no.
Oh.
Unless you consider.
You have family in Kentucky, right?
Unless you consider Kentucky Ballistics my family. But
you're like, your viewers are your family? Sure.
Yeah. I got family out there. I consider you guys family. I'm sure some of you guys are in Kentucky, but.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, it's a weird thought to be like, all right, if I want to fly out of town, I have to drive like 2 hours on top of whatever I have to fly.
Do you ever think about some of your viewership and how some of them are probably in pretty remote places?
I would think that's pretty sick.
Love to hear in the comments if anybody's somebody like somewhere really crazy, like Antarctica, maybe.
I would like to be more remote. It's just there's certain things I'd want, like decent hospital infrastructure and an airport that I can get to that's relatively close. Yeah. Then I'd be pretty happy.
Yeah. Somebody's like, I'm super remote. I'm from Jersey. You're like, no, okay,
sure,
yeah.
I'm sure there's remote parts of Jersey.
Yeah, I know. I think there's probably somebody that watches your stuff and they're just isolated in like the weirdest a country that you've never heard of, kind of thing.
Cabin in Alaska somewhere.
Yeah, Alaska, I think has a lot more traffic than people think. Well, I want that North Canada. You know what I mean? Where there's just like a bunch of islands of ice out there.
What's that valley in like Canada where all these guys get decapitated?
Yeah, somewhere along that. I don't know. I have no idea. Or a remote island. there's a guy that just fixes airplanes out there.
That'd be sick.
Just like the movies, you know?
Yeah.
We also have to give a big thank you to the Optics sponsor, Optics Planet. Code LARP gets you 7% off the entire store, helping you to combat the inflation that ever increases onto our personal lives. They have what you need to equip your stick with the appropriate items. So, of course, a big thank you to Optics Planet.
Should we do some questions?
Yeah, let's knock out some Q&A stuff. What do you got for me?
Okay, so let's start with your Patreon questions. The people who financially support you through Patreon, and then we'll move to the poor people on YouTube. Okay.
Of course.
All right. So I'm gonna run through a couple of these. Some good questions. As always, if you want to ask your question on Patreon and get prioritized, you can do so via the link in the description. Support him.
Dude, that was great.
You like that?
That was great.
That's pretty good.
I was gonna step out and I gotta go to the bathroom. You just keep the show rolling.
I just hijack it. I put my own Patreon link in
That'd
there.
be funny, actually. Whoa.
Okay. This is a question I've asked you, and I already know the answer, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Colton Calloway asked, "What is your favorite watch other than the Breitling Chrono Avenger?"
So one of the let me back up. I'm teetering here. One of the big watches. There was a couple. I'll kind of take you through a lineage of thought. Back before I was ever paid to carry a gun and I was just getting into the firearms space, there was the elusive watch that I wanted very badly, but due to the jobs I worked, would be very expensive to buy.
And what watch was that?
It was a Sunto Core watch.
What kind of watch is that?
It's like one of the adventurous, outdoorsy digital watches.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
That's what I thought. I was like, it has to be like one of those.
Yeah.
It was a digital watch.
If I can remember the model, I think it was definitely a Sunto Core. But I remember like seeing guys like Travis Haley or other high-speed guys wearing them, and I was like, dude, I want to be like that one day.
I want a computer.
And
on
I
my
actually
wrist.
had a number of the Sunto Core. I had 2 Sunto Cores. I had like I can't remember the models, but it was pretty sick. I think I got one from my older brother because he was in the Army, and then I was trying out some ROTC stuff, and I had that. And then college didn't pan out for you, boy. And I eventually moved on. Once I graduated the academy, the police academy, I got myself a Garmin Fenix 5 as a gift. And I was pretty stoked because I saw Christian Craighead wearing that one during his Nairobi affair. And that inspired so much of the aesthetic on the channel.
I'm noticing a theme with watches here.
Yeah. I think like that happened right before, like in 2019, that happened right before I started the police academy too, or like right around that time. Because the police academy was around 6 months, graduated in August. So yeah, probably started in February. And that happened January 15th. And so I was like holding out. And that was like my first real like high paying job. So it was like a graduation present for me. So probably say a Garmin Fenix 5X because I still have it. I haven't charged it up in a long time though.
Okay. And then?
That's it.
Well, okay. Those are the other than
the
yeah.
Breitling,
And then we
right?
got to what you're wearing now,
To the Breitling,
which is the
Blood Diamond.
The Blood Diamond.
And that
watch.
was a present to myself once my kid was born / 500,000 subs. So it was like a double whammy. I was like, all right,
Which
cool.
were you more excited about?
I definitely have to say my child being
You're
born.
like, 500 subs, easy. And then your wife's like, it's also for our kid being born, right? You're like, yeah. Well, yeah. It's actually about mine. Yeah, it's pretty.
Of course, sweetheart.
But you're not a big. I've asked you this. I was like, what's the next watch after that? Not a big watch. This is the end game.
Yeah, this was it.
Yeah.
I in a weird way, I felt like I don't know. Like I've never been a guy that chases luxury purchases. I'm never like I think it'd be cool to have like a Porsche or something like that, but I'm not ever gonna probably spend the money on a Porsche. I'd rather have that money in the bank where I just have that feel good like FU money.
Yeah.
Not like I'm gonna be rich, but like enough money to where it's like, all right, I don't have to be sweating it.
I mean, not to mention you buy so many guns that it kind of just funnels. It's like
I'd rather.
That's what you care about. Yeah.
I'd rather funnel it towards guns I can show off to the audience. To me, that seems more fun.
You have also a dream of having a land arc one day.
Yeah, I want to. Yeah, we're getting into a whole different topic, but yeah, I would like to have some space.
These are your goals. Yeah. So no more watches. Next up is Connex boxes and land.
Yeah.
Shipping containers on land.
My Burt Gomer fortress out in the desert.
That's right. That you can drive your Porsche to. Exactly.
Maybe a different kind of Porsche I'd want to buy. It'd be like a Panzerkampfwagen kind of Porsche.
Something.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. I'd love to have a surplus military vehicle of some kind.
Oh, I saw a great meme from the Bee where it was like, man reaching 30 is worried he'll never buy a Panzer tank.
Oh.
I was like, oh shit.
Reaching 30. Can't relate. All right. So
saying Panzer tank's kind of redundant though. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
Panzer.
It's like when people say Sahara Desert.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Donnie asked, do you have any advice on how to deal with muscle soreness and recovery after extensive use?
Donnie, I'm not a PT, man. If you're not used to working out, it's gonna suck, and then the more you get used to it, the less it's gonna suck.
You don't roll your muscles, stretch, ice bath, sauna.
You
sauna.
I sauna. The Finns turned me on to the sauna, and I haven't looked back. I think the sauna is goated. I would like to ice bath more, but that stuff costs money, and I don't have a good ice machine. I like to take cold showers when I can. During the summers of Arizona, that's really hard.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you turn on people don't realize that in Arizona, you turn on your hose and the water comes out hot.
It's hot.
Like hot.
Yeah. You're like, oh, ah. I guess that's how hot it gets here.
I turn my shower to the lowest setting and it still burns my kid.
Your pipes underneath your house get so hot that it's like it comes out warm instantly.
Mm-hmm.
There's no like cold window.
People in Wisconsin right now are like, oh, poor you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No.
Poor you. If we lose gas, we die. Poor you.
One man's trash is another man's treasure.
What do you think? Oh, sorry. Let me read the name here. CJ-B611. What do you think? What do you think some realistic distances are that people should be practicing at or able to hit with their main rifle?
200 to 300 for sure. I would say that typically seems like a common engagement distance. Because I took a long range rifle course, or no, scoped carbine course. There we go. From Sidewinder Concepts. Shout out to you, Sidewinder Concepts. And he was saying, beginning of the invasion of Iraq war, common engagement distance for the Iraqis shooting at Americans was 700 to 800 meters. And then they pushed that into around 200 meters once they realized like the effective capability of the American troops, and then probably hugging the call for fire stuff like artillery and airstrikes, because there's like a danger close depending on ordnance.
Yeah.
So if you're fighting that style of combat against troops that have access to that stuff, maybe you want to. It's probably safer for you to get inside their rifle range. That would be more dangerous from the call ordnance on themselves. Which is a whole nother like insurgency, how you fight a guerrilla warfare above my pay grade or skill level. But that's kind of like me spitballing. But I would definitely say like having competence to easily 200 to 300 yards is a good idea, especially because you got to be able to hit that stuff, I would say, easily if you're on the static flat range. And depending on where you live, there's sight lines. Like if you're in the woods, out here in the desert, that's a very...
Yeah, I was going to say, if your environment depends, you should push it out. It also depends on where you're going to be drafted for World War III. Like, are you going to the Middle East? You going to Taiwan? You know, because you going to Ukraine? Because it's going to depend there. Your optic probably, impacts that a little bit.
I would definitely say, like, cheap LPVOs, people, like, in the gun space, really harp on cost of stuff. Like, you should spend more money on good products. And I agree. Yeah. I definitely have spent money on cheap LPVOs, and I spent money on very high-end LPVOs. But magnification itself is very much a force multiplier.
What about barrel length?
Barrel length, dude, you're getting into a whole nother. I wouldn't. If you're not a high-speed guy, I probably wouldn't go as low as 11.5.
What about fixed bayonets?
Another option. Yeah, loose axle.
Fixed bayonets.
Another option.
You need to be able to charge that target at 100 yards.
Yeah. That's definitely a factor, right? Magnification will help out a bunch. There, of course, is no free lunch. So if you're looking to do passive aiming through nods, which a Green Beret scolded me because he said there's no such thing as passive aiming, but that's another random tangent within gun culture. Magnification. I mean, I got a cheap Strike Eagle LPVO, and it was like I got it for at the time like $200 or something like that, and it held up. It did the job. I was impressed. And you can see further and be more accurate with it. So stuff like that, I think, is a massive force multiplier. But yeah, 200 to 300 yards. That was a massive tangent. But that's my opinion. One man's opinion.
One man's opinion. I mean, if you can just hit any target at any range.
Yeah, more
good
power
on you.
Too, yeah.
Good on you. Yeah.
You should have high standards for yourself, because you're probably going to revert to lower standards under a lot of adrenaline in getting shot at. If, God forbid, if your HOA ever besieged you.
Do you have a preference on suppressors? You have a favorite pistol and rifle caliber suppressor?
I've never been big into the suppressor game, and I've recently been expanding my horizons. Got a number of different cans now. The OCL, Otter Creek Labs, 9mm can is the only one I got. Typically, what I try and do is ask guys that know more than me about cans. Like, I'll go to the silencer shop. I'm like, all right, what's the better can I can get for this? And then they'll let me know. But I've been playing with a number of different rifle suppressors as well. I usually get 30 cal cans more than I get 5.56 cans because I like the versatility of them. And people will be like, it's not as quiet. And it's like, I totally get that. Because a lot of guys will chase a decibel reduction where they want to be as quiet as possible. Some guys will try and chase the cheapness where they want to get a can as affordable as possible. I try and fall somewhere in the practicality of like, all right, how many guns can I use this can on? So that's typically where I try and fall. Like, I've gotten the Surefire 5.56 can. I've gotten the Huxworks 30 cal can. I think everyone was saying the Huxworks 30 cal can is way better than the 5.56 Huxworks can. I may be a little bit hazy on it, so I could be off on something like usual. I would say no real major preference yet. I like the Surefire cans just for the attachment system. That's a big thing to me, is like how the QD locking system, if it's feasible or not. So like sometimes the threads on cans come loose, and it's just the nature of beast on cans. But I like seeing what's been tried and true, and typically the Surefire cans have been tried and true. And it's just like essentially reducing your signature, because I'm not trying to be like a stealthy ninja when you fire off a gunshot, but reducing how quickly people can identify the direction that came from. Stuff like that, right?
Man, your brain is just built different.
It's going on. Yeah, it goes off on a massive tangent. Using a pistol suppressor is one of those things where it's like fun. Like if you're using a pistol suppressor, you're either having a lot of fun or you're like a state assassin or some shit like that. So it's one of those, like,
thank you.
Yeah, sorry. It's I mean, there are practicalities too with like PCCs, a pistol suppressor for that. So
just use the car oil filter can. You know what I mean? Or the water bottle with duct tape.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Or a pillow.
Sure
Come
thing.
on, dude.
Sure thing.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the YouTube. The poor people questions. Just kidding. We love the YouTube comments.
You're gonna get me in trouble, dude.
I'm kidding. We love the YouTubers and the YouTube comments. All right, so these are something. So I'm just gonna probably use the first one here. So Sebastian asks, if you could witness any battle in history from a bird's eye view, or as like a ethereal spectator, which battle would it be? If it's World War I and you're in a plane, you pretty much are that.
You
ethereal.
are seeing it. Yeah.
Nobody can shoot at you yet. They're like, what?
What the fuck? Huh? The blimp in the sky.
Exactly.
Dreadnought online. That's a really good question. And that's it kind of ties into a bigger thought I have where I don't know what heaven will look like, but based off my Christian beliefs, I hope when I die, I get to go and rewatch all of human history and get to catch the best moments, see what really happened. Man, there's probably some battles. It would be really cool to see, Caesar's siege on the Gauls, where they built a double fortress, one to siege the city and then one to protect themselves. I can't remember the battle name. Ali? No. It'd be really cool to see like ancient Roman battles or battles that even predate that. There's just so much, dude. There's so many cool. It'd be cool to watch the campaign of the conquistadors taking on the Aztecs. So there was not that many conquistadors, but they levied so many other surrounding native tribes to their cause because everyone hated the Aztecs. That's a really tough one. Of course, I would love to see the Battle of Agincourt. I would say if I had to pick one, guys, I would probably go with the Battle of Agincourt because I really want to see how that medieval combat played out. Like because I love the English longbow, the warbow. Watching how that archery played out, that would be really fun because then I could make a whole bunch of content on that.
Can I go 3D chess on you? I'm going to future conflict that we haven't seen yet.
All right, nerd. All right.
Yeah, I want to see a space battle.
I want to see
phasers
on stun.
I love the idea of you getting to heaven and they're like, hey, what do you want to do? You want to go meet Jesus? You want to you're like, no, I want to go see some battles. They're like, oh, I mean, there's that one where David defeated Goliath, and you're like, no. They're like, what about the Philistines? You're like, no. And they're like, oh, we got another one of these.
It's like that one dude skit where it's like the Bachelorette, but he's just there for the zip line.
Yeah. Oh, shout out to that guy. I love that. Okay. Slugshell 2901 because 290. All right. Favorite music genre?
I don't have a good favorite music genre. I like whatever sets the vibe right.
Yeah. Okay. What did you grow up listening to that was your favorite genre?
I'm waking.
Yeah, it was Imagine Dragons. Come on, we can just say it.
No, I definitely hate their music now, but sure, yeah.
It was like pop rock at the time.
It fits your little NPC brain when you're playing Minecraft. Skrillex when you're playing Halo Reach.
So, wow, this one's a weird name. So, I think it's okay. Freaking Abagool 3510. Do you feel like a ballistic helmet is necessary for a Minuteman / self-defense loadout? If so, do you prefer high cut, mid cut, low cut?
Sure.
Do you think it's necessary?
Sure. I've kind of tailored my beliefs to be like, here's the thing. All right. So if you are entering the realm where you are taking upon yourself to protect your life, your family, your beliefs with use of force, of violence, the ultimate level where it's lethal force, you are entering a realm of big boy rules. And fortune favors the prepared. So however prepared you want to be, by all means. Yeah. So if you think that your defense will be enhanced by a ballistic cut helmet, I would definitely agree. I would say, yes, I have a ballistic helmet. I would encourage guys, it's good to protect your noggin. And I would say yes. Do you need it? Technically, probably no. But will it keep you alive better? Probably yes.
Yeah, most often it's like going to be effective against like shrapnel, right? Especially in the trenches. I mean, that's what you're seeing a lot of.
Depending on the guys that are trying to kill you, if they got rounds that aren't going to go right through it, then it'll protect you in that sense. Like there was an instance where a cop was, I think, protected by his ballistic helmet when they were doing the Pulse nightclub shooting and they were raiding it, and he got shot in the dome, and the helmet caught it. So there's absolutely a case where that
he would tell you yes.
He would definitely tell you yes.
Yeah. A lot of those questions just come down to, it's like, if you can afford it and you want it, and it's a priority, sure.
You're getting into the world of what the ever-ending what if questions. Yeah. Right. So you're trying to funnel down what if. You know, worst case.
I guess you could argue what to get before. Like you should probably get body armor. Before. I would say so. Should you get night vision before a ballistic helmet?
You know, ballistic helmets. I know people are worried about budget because you can get bump helmets for a lot cheaper. And like a good ballistic helmet may run you anywhere, you know, north of $500 to $2,000 in theory, which I think protecting your noggin and having a good place to protect, or having a good helmet where it protects your head, not just from bumps, because that's a real threat too, where if you take a spill, you can protect your head, but from ballistic threats as well. And you have a place to mount your night vision too. So it's kind of covering a lot of bases.
Yeah. I'd say consider weight too, you know.
Absolutely,
a lot of people don't think about it, and they get one and then they're like, oh, this sucks.
I remember during the wave of massive veteran podcast guys talking about like neck injuries from how many hours they were under their ballistic helmet setup. So weight, you know.
Just get a Temu helmet. It's good enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
So in that kind of same sphere, there was another comment asking about if you'll expand further into the genre of prepping or anything along those lines. And then my question to you is, like, what do you think makes that genre so attractive to viewers out there?
Well, that plays off the never-ending human fear, the worries of the future because you can't control it, which it's a very present thing. It's like you can't control things outside of what you can control, right? I mean, right. And it's kind of like saying water's wet, but I think people often have the fear of, oh man, things don't look so good. Things, guys, it's so over. The West has fallen. It's only a matter of time. And yeah, sure, I could see that, where you want to be as prepared as possible, and fortune does favor the prepared. So I definitely see the popularity around it. Personally, I don't think I'm going to go down that rabbit hole as much. I like to try and make as informative stuff as possible around things that I like to do. So, I mean, that's a whole appeal for YouTube. For me was, if I'm going to do this, I want to do stuff that I like to do. So talking about like the never-ending prepping stuff you can do doesn't really excite me as much. I still think it's important stuff. I think, you know, if you have a well-prepared plan, that's awesome. I'm not going to dog on them. I think, you know, if we look at the trend of like the Preppers channel back when Nat Geo was doing it, I think a lot of those plans that those guys had were all very impractical. They're like even guys in Arizona were like, oh, we're going to bug out to the desert. We're going to bug out. And it's like, hey,
you got a watering hole out there? Or?
Hey, dude, the desert's pretty brutal. Like, unless you have a water source and you have a good plan, like the whole bugging out notion is a really bad idea. It just ups the danger drastically. Ideally, if like you could do it anyway, it'd be like you have a fortress that's more secluded out, you know, somewhere that's not too far from civilization. Like that to me is the best option, because I hear guys all the time, like here in Arizona, like, we're gonna bug out and go north. It's like, my dude, you're gonna have to take some sort of alternate route.
I always think of the freeways. It's like, man, you and every other suburban dad from Gilbert.
There's four freeways.
You're gonna bug out to your pacing cabin, man. Good luck, man.
Yeah, historically speaking, like if you look at history, a big thing that would happen is raids on caravans, right? Like you have a caravan of trade and goods, and raiders would come along and kill the guys protecting it, or that's why you had armed security to protect the trade goods. Imagine that with no rule of law, and now you have to try and traverse a highway with your wife and your kids, and you don't know what sort of complex ambush threat exists now because we live in the age of firearms.
Drones.
So setting up an ambush to steal your stuff has never been easier. So it's one of those things where it's like you're upping the risk factor. So if you are going to travel, you're probably going to have to travel at night and then getting all your stuff situated to do that. So I'm not the biggest, I mean, if we're going off a prepper tangent, I'm not the biggest fan of like the bugging out notion, because I think it just adds to a whole nother level of you're trying to go to a place you're not as familiar as. I mean, the people up there probably don't want a bunch of people bugging out to them, so it's going to be a hostile environment in theory. This is like some extreme stuff, right?
Right.
But yeah, generally the bugging out notion, to me, it's like I'd rather have, like in a lot of cases, if you're a dude that lives in an apartment, like bugging out may be a good option for you if you're a young single dude. But if you have a family you have to worry about, now it's like just, if it's just you with your family and you have like small children, that sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah, you kind of want to, depending on whatever's happening, like you want to be near like medical supplies and things like that.
Yeah.
I wonder how many dudes bugged out during the pandemic, and meanwhile we're just at home playing Warzone.
Yeah. They're like, we got to get out of here.
Yeah. I mean, it changes too as you get married and as you have kids, because even along with like the gear question of like, should you own a ballistic helmet? It's like, yeah, like I would like to own a ballistic helmet. However, it's like I'm probably gonna throw the helmet on my kid before I throw it on me. So it's like now I gotta buy. I don't know
if I would do that.
Or like body armor. Like I would throw body armor on my kid before me.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's like now I gotta buy 4 sets of body armor.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Disneyland this year, kids. We're getting body armor. Daddy says we're getting body armor.
You don't want to do life alone like that. Ideally, you have other dads that you're protecting your families with, in theory. But if you really came down to it, I'd say it's all on you to like protect them from the ghouls and raiders trying to get at your family. You know.
Like what was it, World of Worlds, when he just took his like the van, the only working van, through a crowd of people to get to the ferry. I was like,
probably not the best idea.
They're just like slowly knocking on the window. It's like, hey man,
can I have a ride?
Can I have a ride? All right, let's move on. Another question. Big Bruh 1188 asks, do you wipe from front to back? I asked this question only because I remember being in the 7th grade, and dude, I saw friendships get ripped apart from this, like lifelong friendships at that point. Somebody asked a question, do you wipe standing up or sitting down? And it just worked its way through the school, and everybody was having heated debates about this. Like the playground was people just sitting there rocking, thinking about it. They just found out their friend stood up. They just found out their friend sat down. They didn't know you could sit down. They didn't know you could stand up or hover.
I like to poop standing.
Okay.
In case a threat shows up.
Okay.
And then once I know it's all clear, I like to sit down and handle business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like to straddle the toilet, rest my arms, you know? Let's see here. Gavin M1347. When did you realize that Travis was your dad? I saw a lot of this, of people asking about Travis being your dad.
You know, you do one Travis Haley impersonation here and there, and then you get a whole bunch of 23andMe allegations. I think it just kind of happened, dude. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, people don't realize your background, that you guys fought together on the battlefield side by side of BB Wars.
Yeah, dude, I watched Travis Haley absolutely melt some kids with his airsoft gun. I was thoroughly impressed.
Just looked away.
I would say that dude's got muscle memory.
Okay, this is a great one. We got Oreo Sliders 1500. Band of Brothers or the Pacific?
Dude, you can't make me choose.
You must choose.
Band of Brothers.
Industrial Society 1995. Battlefield 3 or 4? Or just which Battlefield? Which Battlefield?
I think Battlefield 3. I remember running around No Shark Canals with an 870 slug set up as a recon class.
The M16 in that one slapped.
It's so good. Yeah. I think the maps in Battlefield 3 I enjoyed more.
Damavod Peak, right? Is that, you jump
running off.
The first time you ever did that?
Dude, watching everyone run and jump off like that.
My gosh.
Because that was
there
the
was
first
Underpass too. Remember that was like a night map? And you start off from very high and you worked your way down into the city, man. That one was good too.
Was that Tehran, like the Tehran Highway one? Or was that a different one?
Oh, maybe that is the one I'm thinking of. Yeah. There's a bunch of iconic. They don't make them like they used to.
I enjoyed the storyline. I enjoyed the multiplayer. I thought it was a fantastic game.
I thought
everybody for it was wild.
Everybody made fun of it because it was like known as like the blue game because everything had like a hue of blue over it. And I was like, that was cool.
Yeah,
cool by me.
I'll
take
that
blue.
That was the first Battlefield that got me off the Call of Duty train. Because I remember being a young kid and all they played was Call of Duty. And I remember guys hearing the rumbles of like, oh, but you gotta check out Battlefield. Battlefield's way cooler. And I was like, nah, I'm a Call of Duty guy.
It was actually just Christian Craighead. Everything you owe is to Christian Craighead. He's like, you gotta play Battlefield.
Yeah.
I'm so old. I remember playing the original Battlefield.
Yeah.
At a PC LAN place.
I remember playing Battlefield 1942 at one point.
Yeah, I bet. You weren't old enough.
I remember there was a plane flying over and I fired a bazooka in the air and I took it down and I was like, whoa, this game is pretty cool.
Nathan Logan, 416 wants to know, can I get a kiss?
No, I'm good.
The Chaos USMC. The Chaos. What is your preferred pistol red dot?
Aimpoint Acro P2.
I already knew you were going to say it. Devin 711. Are gun freedoms in Arizona at risk?
Sure. I would say they're always at risk.
Is there anything getting pushed over the legislative table that you're aware of that would put anything at risk?
Off the top of my head. Arizona
by John.
Biggest risk is Arizona keep voting more blue. That's the biggest risk. Maricopa County is throwing that off. All the other surrounding whenever you get inside the cities, things just get blue.
Yeah, I mean that's what Washington was like. Yeah. Seattle, super liberal. Outside surrounding area, very red.
It's got to have different laws. I think if our society could get better, it'd be different like city laws where it's like, all right, you have your city laws, but they don't apply to the rural law.
Right, because in New York City, you can't even have an airsoft gun in there. It's like kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
In one way, it's like you got cram subways and all that. Okay, you can inflict a lot of damage if but it's like it's to stop somebody from driving. Okay, we're not gonna go down that route. I don't want the FBI knocking on my door. My question to you, I feel like the firearms community has a lot of trends. We've seen them jump on the multicam black trend and the carry handle trend and then the raised risers and the this and that. What is the next trend that you see in the firearms community?
Probably a return to the PDW trend, like stuff like that.
Really?
That's been the usual buzz. Guys like Hop or other channels like Brass Facts or Espo. It's been in the zeitgeist.
Everybody always comes out with a kit for their
It's there's been the IAR trend where it's like the infantry assault rifle for civilians, where you're getting more firepower as legally as you can. There's that trend. I think things taper off because if you're a hardcore gun guy, there's only so much you can obsess about at a certain time that will probably financially allow you, and then things kind of trend as stuff happens.
Yeah, it's just funny to see that all happen.
Yeah.
So I want to do a little segment with you. I think it'd be pretty fun. Okay, you can choose to keep this or remove it, or we keep it in the future, or do it again, or maybe not. I want to go through, and this has been done many times before on other podcasts. This is something that everybody from whoever you can think of all the way to, Gary Vee has done, which is overrated, underrated, or properly rated. So I'm going to list off just a handful of things, and all you have to respond with is whether they're overrated, properly rated, or or underrated. Did I get all three of those right? And, you can explain your stance on it if you'd like. It could be anything from a person, place, or a thing. So I'm just going to say the thing, and then you give me your rating of it, okay? We're going to start with something spicy right out the gate. Trigicon.
Properly rated.
Five Guys.
Properly rated.
Clapping at the end of a movie or when the airplane lands.
What would be the appropriate answer for this? Overly rated? Like, don't do it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Underrated. I love it. I love the feeling of just disgust of it.
Hey, if we want to go on a flight together, I will happily clap with you.
I'll look at you. Woo! I've never done it before. Yeah, as soon as if nobody does it, I'm standing up and doing it. I want that pilot to hear me. Good job, or the director.
You should go knock on the door. Hey, good job, good job in there.
People clapped at the end of Star Wars. I was like, was that good? Was that good for you?
Really? Yeah, I can see it for Rogue One, but yeah, who are you clapping for? You trained SEAL? What are you doing?
Dude, I saw just the most generic movie recently that was like not even a big blockbuster, and people clapped, and I want to go shake those people's hands, man. I want to shake her hand.
I want to shake his hand. I want to shake his hand.
All right, next one: pyramid schemes.
Definitely.
Pyramid schemes, man.
Definitely properly rated.
Properly rated?
Properly rated.
Dude. Love the pyramid, hate the scheme.
If you fall for a pyramid scheme, dog. What was that? There's always one that pops up every once in a while. I remember being in high school. And the guys I played football with, season ends, they're still your buddies, and because you spend years working out with these guys, playing football together, and they got looped into I think it was Vema. Remember that?
Vema Corp. They had an energy drink, right?
Energy drink, yeah. Yep. And they got looped into a pyramid scheme. A lot of my buddies, and I was like, guys, this is a pyramid scheme. Even in high school, I had the recognition, which I was surprised. But I was like, there's no they're like, dude, yeah, come on, come sell these. The guy's driving a BMW. He's saying we can make all this money, and I was like, no, this is a pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
And then sure enough, they got hit later down the road. I think by the FCC.
FTC.
Or FTC.
Yeah, FTC. For the uninitiated, Vema Corp was a pyramid scheme that sold healthy energy drink alternatives.
Yeah.
And it was rampant, really, because it's based out of Arizona and Tempe, and they targeted college students. And so the way that the college students would sell it is they would host a party and invite all these people to it, and then halfway through the party, be like, hey, everybody, we got something we want to talk about. If you all just want to gather around, dude. And it's if you're sitting in the back of the red cup and you hear that, it's this is your time to get out now. Everybody piles around. And there's some old YouTube videos of it, man. You got to watch them. There'll be a guy who comes out. He's starts just giving his spiel. He's like, "This was me 2 weeks ago, and now I drive a red BMW, and I love my life, and I make lots of. You can too." It's very funny. It's rehearsed, and it's so he's dead inside.
The social implications of that, to host a party. Or
I knew some friends that were like, we're going to a party at Tower 7. It was in Tempe. It was cool. Well, not that Tower 7, but a tower. It's whatever they call it in Tempe. Yeah. So they went, and then I was like, how was the party? And then they looked at me, and it's like, oh no, But they got shut down by the FTC for being a legitimate, recognized pyramid scheme. And there's a lot that are still out there. The thing that differentiates them from my understanding is you have to for it to be a pyramid scheme, you have to focus and emphasize more on the selling of the membership and subscription to other members versus selling of the product. Yeah. So I love the idea of all those dudes saying it's not a pyramid scheme, and it's you just send them the FTC article, brother.
What was the one for the women? Was it
dude, there's so many.
Yeah.
Oh, Isogenics, Rodent Fields, Herbalife. Yeah. There was the wraps. There was there's so many different ones. So many different.
I think if you get on the ground level.
For sure. That's why I said properly rated. Look, I mean, if you're in the first 100 and you get in and you build that pyramid,
good on you.
Good on you.
If you're dumb enough to fall for being in a pyramid scheme.
Let's move on. Playing rifleman class in Hell Let Loose.
Properly rated.
Agilite.
Properly rated.
You recently visited Lake Tahoe. What do you think?
Properly rated.
Really? Not underrated?
No, dude, it's sick.
Yeah.
I think it was maybe underrated. I was swimming out there, 50 feet of water, and I could see clear to the bottom. And I was like, this is sick.
Yeah. It was really nice of them to let you dump all those chemicals.
That was very nice.
To get rid of all that.
So many
all your
batteries.
Old lead bullets, you just threw them right in the lake. That was really nice of them.
All my reloading stuff, carbine.
Everything, yeah. You just it was good to get it off your back.
A sacrifice for Lake Tahoe.
Yeah. Sabrina Carpenter.
Who's that?
Like the industry plant, Taylor Swifty looking girl who okay. No opinion. Got it.
That is.
Presidential assassination attempts.
Ooh. Underrated.
No. Very overrated.
Overrated.
The great state of Idaho. Careful how you answer this. You've got a few friends out there.
Yeah, it's definitely properly rated.
Mm.
In the sense where it's like they're like, dude, Idaho's awesome. I like the laws. I like the people. I don't like the terrain of Boise.
Okay.
I think it's not pretty.
It's not pretty.
I mean, it's vast and expanse, but it's not like the lush green of the Pacific Northwest. It's really hard to beat how beautiful the Pacific Northwest is, but their politics are terrible.
I love the videos where people send where it's like, can you believe that this is Idaho and it's like beautiful Cascade Mountains with like blue water? And it's like, yeah, my brother, that's a tiny peninsula in that, that goes up to Canada. It's like, it's all there. Every video is from that.
Was it like Coeur d'Alene or something like that?
Yeah, Coeur d'Alene mostly, or north of it.
But Boise's not the prettiest girl on the block, that's for sure.
We went with properly rated. Okay, the Xbox 360.
Properly rated.
Properly rated. Man, you're just letting them all ride. Okay, the year 2016.
Ooh, man.
Think about where you were. Donald Trump was about to be elected.
Yeah.
Or was elected at that point?
He was elected.
At that point, yeah.
I remember waking up that Tuesday morning and seeing he was elected, and I was like, dang, we're so back. Definitely underrated looking back, dude.
Underrated?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I was young, full of hope and ambition. I just graduated high school not too long ago.
You just wanted that smartwatch?
Yeah.
Before the Killdozer existed?
Wait, no, that was long after the Killdozer.
Oh, I'm thinking of the one that was in the Middle East doing all that in the
ISIS Killdozers?
No, the Gaza Killdozer. The Israelis Killdozer, the one that yeah.
Gotcha, okay.
Putting hockey tape on the grips of your guns.
Overrated. Except I have done it with HK style guns, I will say.
Was that the only exception?
Listen, it goes down to your personal preference. I find that a little extra leverage on those small grips helps out. And if you can get a little bit of an extra...
A little
extra bite.
I love it. I'm a big fan of it. I know it's so corny, man. I'll put it on everything I can. I'll put it on my pen if I can.
Hey, you're a grown man.
That's
Figure
right.
it out.
Leash backpacks for your child. Don't see many of them anymore.
Yeah, they kind of went the way of the dodo. We'll see. My kid's not walking yet, so we'll see when I get there. But maybe properly rated.
I think underrated, depending on the environment. Yeah. Disneyland, very underrated.
Yeah, I want to leash that kid up.
Oh, I'm gonna leash him up. AirTag him, leash him up.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
cuff him.
I mean, it's like you have to go through a whole panic attack.
Citizens arrest him.
Your wife's gonna be like, oh my god, where's the kid? You know,
how much easier if you just had a scrunchy leash attached?
Yeah, the kid's somewhere here.
Just don't let the kid on the ride, and then you don't go on, and the leash is still attached. That's all.
Yeah.
Last question: people who make it to the end of any of your videos.
Ooh,
overrated.
Very, very underrated.
Very underrated. Well, that is it for overrated, underrated, properly rated. Let me know in the comments if you like that, if you want to see it in future segments, and if you have some questions that you would ask of Mr. Admin.
It feels like
managerial. Sorry, not
in Blade Runner 2049, where she's like, "Isn't it invigorating when you get asked personal questions about yourself?"
Yeah. I just pretty much gave like any single guy out there like 15 date questions they can ask. They're on a date. They're like, leash backpacks. The girl's like, what? 2016? Yeah. Why are you asking me this stuff?
Dude, I'm curious what the dating scene is like right now.
Oh, man. I'm not.
Yeah.
I hope I don't have to find out.
Well,
I hope I never have to find out.
Yeah. I don't want to have to find out, but it's like for all the single bros out there, I hear it's a hot mess.
Yeah, we wasn't there like an alarming statistic where it was like almost 80% of women are voting liberal, and then, or I should say Democratic, and then the men are like leaning very conservative. There's a pretty big rift there.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I could definitely see that.
I feel like if you go to Boise, Idaho, those percentages maybe change a bit.
I would hope so. Women tend to vote a lot more emotionally, and guys usually vote more. It's just more so how everyone thinks is like logically.
Whoa, careful there. You're treading some fine lines there.
Oh no! What are they gonna do? Cancel me?
You have like 3 women that watch this podcast. They tapped out in the first like 10 minutes.
No.
Yeah.
If there's any ladies watching this podcast, I will be massively impressed.
I'm curious how many times I've been flagged by the blunderbuss there. If we got to get a counter going in the comments, yeah, dude. It's still my favorite part of the Sam Hyde videos when he just grabs the gun and starts looking in it, because I know that was. For the YouTube sake, it was very safe, and it was a dummy gun.
Yeah, for sure.
But between you and me, I'm like,
I've never felt more alive when I was getting gun pointed by Sam Hyde.
Crazy.
Was honestly a massive treat.
Yeah. Couldn't we all? Don't we wish we all could be? That's it. That's all I had for you. Any other topics you want to talk about?
I don't think I have anything else I need to cover. I will say this was a productive podcast. We were overdue for a good Q&A. Maybe as the weather gets nicer, gentlemen, especially if you made it this far in the video, we can bring back the pizza power hour Q&A. I love firing up my brick oven. But the problem is when it's this hot out, even into September, it's just like, it's suffering.
Not until the end of October.
Yeah, the sun has to go down if I'm going to do it anyway.
I almost asked underrated, overrated, properly rated with pizza ovens, but I already know your feeling. Yeah, you underrated. Rated. No, properly rated's like, it's fine. Like, leave it alone.
Underrated.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Dude, the Brickfire pizza oven, it has magical properties.
Yeah.
Because it could take like, the pizza recipe we're working with is probably considered mid, but it takes it and turns it into a delicious pie.
Yeah,
because I was skeptical. Where I was like, all right, we'll see how this turns out, and then you make it, and you're like, oh, this is actually really good.
All you guys asking about ballistic helmets and body armor, pizza oven.
There's more.
Your answer is the pizza oven.
I will say, I've definitely carved out a niche.
More joy to your family is pizza oven.
I've carved out a niche in the firearm space where we talk a lot about guns and all this stuff, but there is more to life than just firearms. You can have a good time with a good pizza oven.
A pizza oven podcast would be fun.
That would be a good time.
We get this whole setup out there.
Yeah.
Do it?
Yeah, it'd be fun, dude.
Be great.
Well, gentlemen, I have nothing else for you. I appreciate you tuning in to the podcast.
Oh, boy. Yep.
Don't worry. Lily can't
Don't do that.
It can't do anything.
This is an audio-only podcast. It doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
For sure.
Nobody.
For shizzle. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Got nothing else for you. As always, we'll catch you guys on the flip.